Welcome, everybody, to the first episode of NetApp on Air in 2024. My name is Nick Howell. Thank you for joining us today for our first episode. We got a special one today, and it's funny because when we did our very first episode a year ago in January, that's right, we've been around for a year now. It's our 1-year anniversary. It was with this guest today, this gentleman, who has been my partner in crime now for a few years. All the way throughout the pandemic, we've done some really fun experimental stuff we're going to talk about today. We're going to give you some looks ahead at all the kind of stuff. One of those things is Discord. We started a very large Discord community that has grown to over 4,000 members over the last couple of years. We're continuing to build upon it and continue to do a bunch of things. We're going to talk about a lot of that stuff today, but you need to make sure you're in there. So head over to discord.gg/NetApp. You want to make sure you're in there, or you can just go to netappdiscord.com. A much easier thing to remember. Netappdiscord.com there. So make sure you get into there. What else were we going to do? We don't really have that much to promote right now other than subscribe to us here on YouTube. Follow us on Twitch if you prefer that as a platform. But you can get into all of those things. I do a bunch of stuff over on TikTok as well, so you can come follow me there if you'd like to. And we're going to be doing lots more content throughout the year, both here on the NetApp channel and across my various platforms as well. But without further ado, let's get him in here. You guys know him. He needs no real introduction. But in case you've never met him before, he is the one, the only, Mr. Drew Claybrook. Drew, how you doing, man?
I'm good, Nick.
I need an applause hot button. That's on the list for 2024.
The air horns and sirens and all that
stuff. How you doing, man? Welcome to 2024.
Yeah, it's already been busy. We're off to a good start, but I like where we're coming from here. We've got some fun stuff planned, I think, that we're excited to talk to you about.
So for those that might be tuning in for the first time, for those that might not have had the opportunity, the pleasure, the privilege of meeting the one, the only Drew Claybrook before, what is it you say you do here?
Yeah, so great question. So I'm in our digital support team. So when you visit the NetApp support site or the NetApp knowledge base, or it says it here, the community, that's my team. I run the community, as Nick mentioned, help out with things around Discord and all those spaces. So it's nice to see questions come in when stuff happens in the knowledge base, when you just aren't sure about something, or if the support site breaks. There's a way to get someone's attention really quickly. So yeah, another reason to join Discord, direct access.
So one quick little fun recap lore for the viewers. When I came to you, I think was it 2021? I think summer of 2021. I said, I got a crazy idea. I want to build a Discord community. And we were already using Discord in other places, right? But I said, I got a crazy idea. Let's build a NetApp Discord community. What was your first impressions? Do you remember what you first thought? And when I know we had like 300 million channels because I overdo things. But yeah, what were your first impressions? Do you remember looking back on things? What your first initial kind of thoughts and takeaways were?
See me running that through my head. I think it was really, why am I not making that suggestion? Like it was, yeah. Gee, thanks, Nick, for taking the idea I didn't have yet. Yeah, no, it seems like it's something that we should have done a long time prior.
Yeah.
And
well,
really
it's timely that we did when we did, because in 2021 was when I believe they started rolling out the community. No, it was fall 2020. That's what it was. Yeah. And that was one of the things that spurred me. So they started rolling out kind of the community edition, because previously Discord has always been about gaming, building communities around streamers, individual personalities, and things like that. When they started doing the community stuff in the second half of 2020, I kind of went, that could be interesting. So let's get everybody out of their individual little siloed Slack channels and communities. Let's get everybody out of all these different little disparate silos that they're hidey holes, as I call them. And let's bring everybody together. Let's bring all the enthusiasts. Let's bring all the end users, all the partners, and introduce our staff here at NetApp to it. And I can't be more happy than how it's turned out, and only more and more excited as things go forward.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, looking at it earlier, what is it, 4,100 members in there?
Yeah,
good collection of partners, customers, employees, all of it. It's really taken off. And I'm wearing my Insight shirt today. So, being able to actually meet people and chat about that sort of thing in a place like Discord while we're there, trying to hunt each other down for various reasons that we can talk about later. It's good for that. Really
Absolutely. And I think you mentioned Insight. That might be a good place to start. This was the first kind of Insight that we were a part of with Discord at the capacity that we were. And we certainly started out in the middle of the year with a giant long wish list. And we ended up with a booth, but that's about all we got. A shared booth, but that's about all we got. So I'm looking at it from like a what worked, what didn't kind of thing. What was your takeaway with how Discord was able to kind of enhance the experience at NetApp, above and beyond just meeting people from the community that have joined? I think there's an element of it. There's more to it than that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think the obvious answer is, scroll back through the channel there for Insight 2023 and just go look at the conversation around the pins, like the scavenger hunt around that, trying to find me or find you to be able to get your Discord pin was just a tiny piece of how much played into it. But that was a lot of fun for the I hope it was a lot of fun. It sure seemed that way for all the Insight attendees.
Yeah.
But being able to get in and say, hey, I'm missing this session. I can't find this room, just to get acquainted. The chat in the app itself, in the Insight app, you have to know to go look at it. Similar to Discord, but it's different because it's built purpose built for the event.
Right.
If we're in Discord already, that's one of the reasons that we choose it. They're already paying attention to things with their peers and other places. It's not that difficult to add in some NetApp themed fun as well. That worked out good.
It's one of the phrases that I kind of picked up on earlier in the year, and I started saying, once Insight's over, what does everybody do for the other, the 362 days of the year? And it that started to really stick with me, and it was one of the driving forces for me, especially, of making sure that we integrated at every level as much as we could. Because once Insight's over, there still needs to be a place for those conversations to happen, to facilitate, right? That we still need to have that sort of beachhead, that landing zone, that place. And traditionally, the forums have been that over in the communities. And one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about was, I don't want to spend an hour talking about Discord. We certainly could. But I think there's a larger conversation to have around how we're bringing all this stuff together across the community forums, the traditional community forums, what we're doing with Discord, and events externally, and how it all can sort of play together as a single NetApp community. Like, that's the important thing that I want everybody to take away from me, and throw in there the developer hub stuff that we're doing over on that. We launched, I think we've talked about it on the show in the last 3 or 4 months, but back in September, we launched the all-new developer hub. So you can go to developer.netapp.com. You can find links to all of our documentation, code samples, repositories, all of that stuff, if you haven't found that place yet. So for those of you that came over from the pub, for those of you that are in doing more of stuff with our developers and working with our APIs, you can actually now go to developer.netapp.com and find all of that stuff in one place. We're working on consolidating it even more. Give us time. We'll get it all done, get all the documentation updated and everything like that. But, I mean, across all of those different things, there's a lot going on with the community. Where do you stand on some of this stuff as far as community goes?
Yeah, so we've talked about it amongst ourselves, but with the forums-based community, it feels like a lot of that is changing. The real-time aspect of something like Discord or even Slack really goes a long way, because I think people feel less obligated to write this whole book about what's going on and all of that. You can have quick one-offs and just quick one-sentence responses and stuff back and forth, and not have to anticipate so many questions, which is nice when you can, and you should when you're in a support case. It helps them a lot too. I'll say that. But the community, like forums based, it's tough to get in and out of there quickly. It's not specific to NetApp. That's the way it is. And so that's where I think people are trying to, I feel like people don't want to have conversations associated with them personally, like where we know who they are. If they're a partner, they don't want to admit that maybe there's an issue. They don't want it to be tied back to them. And there's just a whole mindset that has shifted with newer generations coming into tech, I feel like. And so that's where Discord and Reddit play into that really, really nicely.
So anonymity is a big concern, being able to give feedback and things like that. But isn't there an element of wanting to not put their job in jeopardy and things like that based on things they might say? And I mean, there's an element of that too when it comes to the anonymity.
But the other thing about it, not to discredit any of the forums, because that's a massive resource, especially being able to Google problems and have community responses show up as a result. But for us at NetApp, and for those who don't know, we do have some partner-specific spaces in the community. When you log in with your NetApp SSO, you'll see some of that pop up at the top of the page that unlocks some special areas for partners only to be able to ask really specific questions about, size and design of systems and webinars and all kinds of good stuff. So, I mean, there's still a reason to have that, because we can't really replicate that so much in Discord. To be able to authenticate someone as a partner or a customer in that way is not where we're at yet. That's future talk. We can discuss that a little bit later if you want to.
Well, we are trying to expand some of that in Discord as well. I know you and I are not developers. I certainly don't write JavaScript, React, any of that kind of stuff, but we are exploring building our own custom bot that will allow people to sort of self-identify and automatically apply some of that stuff. And that would give us the ability to, selectively open up some different areas within Discord as well that would give people, that would facilitate having those kinds of more NDA conversations, if you will, that would allow people to get questions answered, have that direct connection. And that's one of the things that I look forward to. It's one of the ways I always describe Discord as well. It's not, okay, I'm going to write up this big, long forum post, and I'm going to sit there and wait for 3 days with my fingers crossed, hoping somebody gets back to me. No, with Discord, we have the ability to have a live, real-time conversation. We can engage with people directly. We can @ somebody, a specialist if we need to, that can come in and answer more specific questions in detail. It gives us a lot more capability to have just real-time conversations. Unfortunately, the trade-off of that is kind of the yin and the yang of this whole thing, where we don't get to index the conversations that happen in Discord on search engines. Unfortunately, there are ways that we can hack around that and we can make do, but it doesn't happen natively. Good thing is the search within Discord is fantastic. Yeah. All conversations, everything is indexed intensely. And so don't sleep. If you're in Discord already, don't sleep on the search. And if you're not in Discord yet, come get in and then search for things you might be looking for, because we've got a whole array of forum channels a lot of questions get answered every day. Anything from ONTAP to APIs to using some of our open source tools constantly get discussed all throughout every day. So make sure once you get in, search around a little bit. You can find conversations that have already happened over the last, over 2 years now that we've been doing this. We've had it up there. So
I think it was June 17th, 2021 when we put it out there, and kind of launched it in August that year, if I recall correctly. So yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Been around a hot minute.
Yep. It's been around for a little bit. So I think all of that said, one of the things you're going to see from us going into 2024 is a lot of lessons learned from integrating with Insight for the first time. We definitely have a long laundry list of things we want to do for Insight later this year when we get back around to it. Which, by the way, a reminder, it has been announced. It's going to be a month earlier this year. It's going to be happening in September this year. So heads up, plan accordingly. It's not in the traditional end of October kind of time slot. We are set with the end of, I think it's September 20 something. I don't remember.
I just pulled it up. September 23rd through 25th.
There you go. So mark your calendars, guys. This early. It's January. We're already talking about Insight. I know Gaby and the team would be proud. So with a little hat tip to Charles as well. All right. So let's talk about some specific things with Discord that we wanted to go over today. The big things we talked about from 2023 are the things that we rolled out. We got to talk about the onboarding, because that made a little bit of a mess initially, because due to some bugs and not being able to display new channels the right way and things like that. But I think that most of that has sorted itself out, or it just sorts itself out over time as people join. But the onboarding made things really easy for people to come in, answer 3 to 5 questions, and sort of self-select into areas that they wanted to opt into. That was always the benefit for me. So you don't log in the first time and just you're just overwhelmed with 100 different channels. Like, oh my God, you don't even know where to start.
Yeah, you can tailor your experience now.
Exactly. You can go, if you're just here to hang out in the developer hub area and you just want to talk about coding to the API, you can thin it down to that. There's all kinds of options for you to go through. So if you haven't done that yet, you can go at the top, you can go up through the server guide, find your way into the onboarding.
Let's pull it up.
Yeah, let's go ahead and bring it on. Oh, you've got it pulled up. See, this is why he's the community manager.
So right now we're looking at announcements. We'll come back to this, but since we're talking about the channels and roles, if you're already in our Discord, scroll up to the top and click on channels and roles. And that's where you can tell us a little bit about yourself. Are you a partner? Say so. If you're NetApp staff, hit the box there and send one of us a message so we can actually verify you. Yeah. There's an unverified role. We don't want everybody to have that. There's a significant amount of people that need to still do that. So I'll call you out right here. But the other pieces of this, so like what types of channels do you want to see? Nick mentioned the developer and tooling spaces. Me being me, I want everything. Yeah. So you can choose some of these, and it hides the channels or the categories that aren't really related to that.
Yeah.
Similarly, we've got some notification preferences, and then if you are proud of your NetApp certifications, you can choose those too, and they'll show up on your profile. So yeah, that's the quick rundown on that. The other thing, if you're just want everything and worried you're missing something, you can go up to channels and roles again and just right click it and do show all channels. And that way you don't miss anything and can get back in. If you have other questions or just want to know where to go, don't forget that there's a pretty cool server guide here that's got our code of conduct and where to get support and how to like follow us on socials and all that good stuff. So yeah, it's all here. These are some of the community style that that Nick mentioned that we were pretty eager to get our hands on.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for that, Drew. And the other, since you're here already, I'll go ahead and go over it and talk about it. One of the things that I've been pretty adamant about getting rolled out there is a consolidation of all of the alerts and announcements and allow people to sort of opt into those as well. And we really wanted to just align those in the right places. So previously we had a channel called GitHub Alerts. It's still kind of there, but we want to get rid of it. We want to sort this out a little bit more so that you guys, whenever there's an ONTAP release, we can do announcements there. Whenever any of the pieces of software have an update, we can do that there. So if announcements is announcements. Announcements to me is for everyone that just, when I'm going to at everyone on something, it's big enough that it warrants that. That's where you're going to see that stuff. But in things like product alerts, here's the example. Snap Center 5 came out last week. Last week? Yeah.
Yep.
And so we wanted to write that up. But you'll notice that we only added at product alerts. So if we're not going to spam everybody every time there's a new thing coming out, we're going to just hit the specific roles that are going to do that, and we're going to filter them into each of these channels to try and clean up the spam a little bit. We don't want to overwhelm everybody with a lot of that stuff. We're a big company. We got a lot of stuff coming out every other week so I just didn't want to overwhelm everybody with those, but at the same time, I didn't want people to miss out on them. So keep an eye on these channels. It's in the newsroom category. They are default for everybody to see. You can silence the channels or mute the notifications if you want to. That's a personal preference. We're also doing events. So we posted this show today, and you're going to see some more stuff coming from the Spot team. I know Sean, shout out to Sean, is putting together some Spot user group meetings and other various things going on. We're going to have some hackathons throughout the year. We're going to do some stuff here in Discord. There he is. All you had to do was scroll up a little bit. So there's Spot's joining forces with Microsoft to do some hands-on workshops around some of the Spot portfolio. So heads up on that one. The SC5 announcement was gold for you, Troy. Yeah, absolutely. So that's what we want it to be, right? We want this to be a bit of a notification center, if you will, but filtered to be relevant to only the people that have signed up to get those. So we're still tweaking it a little bit. Stay tuned. In addition, we've got 2 podcasts now. In addition to this live show that we do, NetApp on Air, Tech on Tap is just hanging around. Shout out to Justin for keeping that thing going. For those that don't know, Tech on Tap was started as the NetApp Communities podcast by yours truly in 2012. 2011? 2012. 2012. And when I parted ways, it was like it's gone through so many evolutions. So in 2015, it became Tech on Tap, and then the guys that were running it then, Glenn and Pete went over to VMware, and Sully went to Red Hat. So Justin, man, just picked up the reins and has kept it running ever since, for going on 10 years now.
Yeah, that's wild.
Every week, just churning out an episode. So, I mean, kudos to you, man, for keeping that legacy going and keeping it fresh. Love the conversations that you have. Still listen to them all the time, Ben. One of our newest moderators and sort of our DevRel over on the Spot side, Sean Harris, has started a show recently called Cloud Control. If you don't know about that, make sure you're subscribed. There are videos over on the Spot YouTube channel, and he also has podcast feed that you can subscribe to, Apple, Spotify, whatever you want to listen to. So yeah, that's where we're putting those, all that stuff. We're working on getting a stream of blog posts coming in as well. That's taking a little bit more effort because of technical reasons, but you'll see that every now and then we'll see a choice one, and we'll drop it in there manually for the time being. So that's the newsroom. We want to hear from you guys. Like, is this valuable? Do you like this kind of stuff? Do you want to see more of it? These are the kind of fine-tuning tweaks that we wanted to make to the larger community to make this more informational than just a place to come out and hang out and chat or answer support questions. So let us know. Give us that feedback. It's one of the reasons we wanted to do this show today, is we want to hear from you guys about some of these changes that we've made over the last year, and be able to be transparent with you guys about what we want to do going forward.
Yeah,
Drew, I talked a lot. I'm going to shut up now.
Yeah, it's not our community; it's your community too.
Yeah,
and so if something isn't working, tell us. We do take your feedback pretty seriously. And we know we're still building it, and want to make sure that everybody gets something useful out of it. The product alerts, I think, have really good potential. Knowing that I'm on the support side of things, I kind of know what's coming. So we do have a lot of good stuff planned to make it a little bit easier to find out when the next ONTAP patch gets released or whatever it may be. Just to choose an example. So there's stuff that we're trying to build there right now, development underway, and hopefully we can tie that into something a little bit more automated in Discord. So yeah, keep watching.
Absolutely. All right, switching gears a little bit. In the interest of gathering feedback, let's talk about some of the things that we have in mind for 2024. And you and I have talked about this ad nauseum, so I want to rehash the conversation for the viewers and for the community members to see if it's stuff that they would be interested in. Is it, I'm trying to gauge prioritization here a little bit too, as far as like what we work on, what are the next steps that we need to do. Some of the ideas that we had, I just want to throw out there to you guys of things that we'd like to see added to the community. The very first one, let's get this one out of the way. Regional channels with native languages is one that I've been advocating for. And we've had those in the past. Like, the channels still exist. They're in the archives down at the bottom. You can go see some of those even today. But I brought it back up at the end of the year last year because I think there's an important element of people to being able to come in and speak in their native languages without having to kind of translate to English in their head. We have a lot of French speakers, a lot of German speakers, a lot of varying flavors of Spanish native speakers around the world. So I wanted to be inclusive of those and give them a place where they could facilitate those conversations. But you brought up an interesting point, Drew, to sort of counter why that might be a bad thing. Yeah,
it's tough to moderate some of those channels to really be able to make sure that the conversations there are genuine. So it's, once we have a big enough community, it kind of self-sustains itself. Building it takes time. We need to know that we've got an interested audience. Let's say that we wanted to have something in French or German. We need to have a big enough audience there to kind of self-police when something that I don't speak French or German.
Me either.
I don't think you do either, right?
No. A little bit of terrible Spanish, but that's about it.
Yeah, I can do that. We would need help across geos for that because, believe it or not, we do sleep at some point. So we need to know that there's people in those regions who are able to help look out for us. But there could be value. I mean, especially for like the NetApp user groups, to have some of those conversations about something happening in your city. That I don't need to stand in the middle of that. I want to make sure that you can all connect. So how do we handle that? Like, I'm looking for comments to pop in here, and maybe they'll follow in later, and we'll have to keep up with it. But I do want to genuinely know what people think. Drop in Discord and talk about it in ONAIR chat or the Just Chatting channels, and tell us what you want to see. Dutch channel.
Yeah, there you go. There's Martin bringing that up with the Dutch channel. Absolutely. So Martin, that's kind of the point, and it's really there's two things at play here. One of them is the moderation thing in native languages that aren't spoken by mods and admins. The second one, Drew, that you brought up that I thought was even more prevalent was those conversations when spoken in sort of native languages like that can be lost, or there's maybe experts available to answer things, but if they're in a non-native language, then it makes it a little bit trickier to get that information out to everyone else. There's a fine line to dance there. Yeah. We want to enable it, but we also don't want things to get out of control, or from a behavioral standpoint, but we also don't want those conversations to be lost to anyone that didn't speak that language. So that's the dilemma we've got right now. That's the struggle that we're with that one in particular that we're up against. So, well,
the same kind of thing can be said about having a healthcare. Like, what if we build industry vertical channels? If we have healthcare as one, and media and entertainment, or financial services, or whatever, there's nothing that says that someone outside of those groups can't answer your question. So you go back to building the hidey holes that you didn't, that we don't want to see, and it's unintentional because it's not that, but it is that. There's a reason you don't really see the support organization structure their, when you call in for support, it's not structured in a vertical way. It's by specialty, by product. And so that's really what we've modeled the Discord channels off of, in about as generic way as we can.
Yeah. Otherwise we'd have 300 channels and it'd be impossible to keep up with everything, or like even with the channels that we've got, things are still going about in the wrong places. So there's just some other little things that we got to shore up when it comes to that sort of thing. Martin said, what about AI and inline translation? Will this be absolute in the near future? That's a good point.
I've not seen that in Discord, but there's a lot that we aren't necessarily privy to. Nothing would surprise me the way they do some of the development like that. So, I mean, sure, maybe. The other thing that I can't help but think is just, the rest of the NetApp community and our Discord community are all in English, even the onboarding. And so I think it comes with some sort of expectation that you know some English. And that's the way it is. Kind of the international language of business, and just how to handle that. I don't have a good answer. As I said a minute ago, open to suggestions and all of that. I don't know what else to say about it. It's a not a new problem, but it's one I haven't really seen handled well anywhere.
I do think if I look at what the social media networks have done, so if you look at LinkedIn or Facebook or things like that, Twitter is probably the best example. There's a link under it that says translate this post, and it leverages the Google Translate engine or whatever it might be doing. I think that's something Discord could probably add, since it is online and web-based. I think there's an opportunity for Discord to do something like that, but it would take something like that for me to get to a point of like complete comfort, where we could go in and like see what people were talking about, peek through the glass a little bit and just make sure everything's copacetic and going well. But stay tuned. More on that soon. Please send us your feedback and Just Chatting. You can DM us if you'd rather. That way, keep it private, or just throw it in on-air chat and let's fire up a conversation about it. Because if you guys overwhelmingly say it's something you want, that's what Drew and I are here to do, is provide that for you guys. But at the same time, we're trying to be the shield and the protector of things getting out of hand in the community. So let us know. If that's something you absolutely want, we're here for it.
I was just doing some quick Googling here. So thanks for picking up some airtime there. It looks like there's some Discord bots that do translation. So maybe that's something to explore. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe we can look into it. All right. So speaking of new areas that we'd like to, that we're entertaining adding to the community, we wanted to talk about some of our EBRG orgs that we've had for a long time at NetApp. Some of those are our group of advocates for the disabled is we call it NetAbled, which I've always enjoyed that one and tried to be a part of that one as much as I can. We got one for veterans called NetVets. And we've also got one for that we what was the NNBT? I know we refer to it as Blacks in Tech, but is it NetApp Network of Blacks in Tech? Is that what NNBT is?
Yeah, and we can't forget Women in Technology. That's another
Women in
really,
Technology,
really
of course.
Yeah,
absolutely. So we've got all of these like specialty orgs, EBRG orgs across NetApp that exist today, and there's part of me that would love to see those come into Discord, and if that would facilitate conversations. So let us know if that's something you guys would like to participate in. And they hold particular meetings across NetApp throughout the year, every year. I'm sure they would love to see some of the community come in and join more of those.
Well, and to expand it on that though, real quick, because we have so many of these groups across all of NetApp globally, I mean, maybe it's a good way to have people have a good story to tell about something, who want to be a guest speaker and come in and have breakfast or lunch with NetApp people and one of the
member of the community. Yeah.
We do that.
So I would love to see more of that happening. Just general advocacy for these EBRG groups and things like that happening in Discord. I know we've got some conversations happening around sustainability as well already. One of the shows that's upcoming, I'm working on schedule wrangling right now, but I want to bring in Matt Watts, Spencer Sells, Chris Luth to have the big sustainability conversation, around kind of a round table about how we do that. I just don't know if we're going to do it in on air or if we're going to do it as part of a stage channel. Stay tuned. That's a teaser. That's a little carrot. That's going to come. We're going to have the big sustainability conversation in 2024. I promise. Maybe multiple times because things are changing. Certifications are changing, and it's affecting companies in a big way. So stay tuned for that one. See, we did regional channels. We did the newsroom. It's one of my kind of stretch goals to get to a point where we've got an event happening in Discord every week. At least one every week. Whether that's an episode of On Air, whether that's a roundtable or panel happening in a stage channel, just something happening every week. And to facilitate some of that, I think we need to bring back the Nuggets. Do you guys remember the Nuggets from 15 years ago? I think there's an opportunity here to reinvigorate the Nugs, the NetApp user groups, which we used to affectionately call Nugget groups. I think that ties into the regional discussion a little bit too.
Yeah.
And I think when I first thought of trying to do the specific channels for native language, that was with user groups in mind. And I think there's a marrying of those two things that we can facilitate, and we've just got to figure out the how from an execution standpoint of how to bring it to life. But yeah, I would love to see worldwide, around the globe, I would love to see a sort of virtual Nugget group meeting in each of the, at least the major regional areas across geos. I remember I used to go to one in 2008, 2009. I used to go to the one in LA, in Sherman Oaks, in the Galleria. We used to have it once a quarter, but it was 3 or 4 of us. It wasn't like some big gathering, but that's enough. That's enough. Like, get a few people together, and you can have some really compelling conversations. You make friends. You go out for beers. You start helping each other in your job. Like, it's amazing what these kind of community groups and user groups can do for smaller, tighter communities and things like that.
Yeah, and that sort of stuff works really, really well. I've seen some renewed interest in that in the actual NetApp community. So, for those of you in ANZ, Australia, New Zealand, there's a user group in the community. Like, chat with your sales engineers and sales team, because they're the ones who can help connect those right now. For those of you in France, there's a French users group that's in the community. So, again, chat with your SE and sales guys for it. It's there's a lot that would benefit from being revived. I'd really like to see that.
Yeah, and there's Jason chiming in. Hi, Jason. It's good to see you, man. In-person user groups are doing really well again, too, so marry the two together. Yeah, and I think Martin also commented over in Discord that I can't pull into the stream, unfortunately, but I see he agrees that a regional user group would be a great option and just keep the technical discussions in English. I think there's a compromise there somewhere that we can
do
figure
it this
out.
way.
Oh, yeah, that's one way to do it. So yeah, that's bringing back the Nuggets groups. Let's tie that one in with sort of regional native language channels that we would do, and I think there's something that we can do with that in 2024. I think that's about everything I had on the list personally, Drew. I know you wanted to talk about some forward-thinking stuff with the community and the forums. Is that something you still wanted to show folks?
Yeah, let's do that. But first, I want to go back to one of the things mentioned at the beginning of it. You talked about the developer portal.
Okay.
And so I wanted to pull that up here because it's pretty. And it's
we're really proud of this, guys.
It's one of the only purpose-built dark mode themed sites that we've got on the entire .com right now, aside from the kbnetapp.com got a refresh a couple of months back and it's all dark, but all the dark mode things. But this is a really, really awesome signpost. We know that we've got stuff all over the place and developer resources, and to be able to see at a glance the product index with docs on API or SDK or just any of it is really, really nice. Yeah. Of course, our community outpost, our Discord gets a shout out here. The member count, I think it said 4,100. So yeah, 4,200 now. Oh, wow. That is updated every so often.
I love seeing over 500 people online at any given time.
Yeah. Links to GitHub and all the different resources there. So yeah, that is developer.netapp.com, and that'll redirect you to the page here. So.
And we're already having meetings internally, guys, about what phase 2 of this is going to be. So stay tuned. This isn't the final. This is version. If it's version 1, it's like version 0.1. We're just getting started with this. It was a static page that we wanted to just put an index together. But behind the scenes, a lot of this stuff is getting consolidated. We're going to be adding a blog so that developers and other staff members can put in code samples, example walkthroughs of how to interface with things. Potentially it's going to get better. It's going to get a lot better, but I'm very happy with how this turned out. I'm happy we were able to get this done before Insight.
And if I refresh, I think we even get we get the little motion graphic there. So show that off. I've mentioned the community a few times too. So this is what we're all familiar with. If you do community.netapp.com, I'm working with our provider to try and build a new front end for this. I know that it needs a refresh. There's a lot there to see. So just a tease for those of you watching, going to something like this. Now this is the platform that we run on is Koros. They've got a new released front end called Aurora. And I just said, dark mode, all the things. I'm not done yet. This is just a tease. I've been working with their product team to figure out how to do that on all of these components, because it's to be able to build this in a visual editor is really nice. That's one of the key benefits of it. But there are some components that can't be edited and modified in the standard ways. So their product team is engaged with me directly and teaching me things. So as I learn, I'll share what I can. But that's coming too.
I love the purple and black. That's my fantastic.
If you recognize that, it's I can't show it because we're live, but kind of pulled that from our brand refresh that we launched at Insight this past year.
It's funny how that's made its way into Discord. We also kind of landed on that color scheme with the developer hub. Like it's kind of got that same kind of vibe to it. Yeah. So I'm digging the purple and black theme. I think that's gonna be my theme for 2024 is that purple and black. I really dig it. Had a comment come in from Jessica. Said, Jessica from Invasion here. Thanks so much for the info. Awesome playground you've created. Thank you, Jessica. Really appreciate that. It's something we recognized a gap with Discord, and I will say this. One of the things that I noticed at the last show of the year, reInvent, was that there were a lot of startups out there at reInvent reInvent's a massive show, guys. There were 60,000 people there, at least. As biggest show of the year last year. I mean, maybe aside from CES. But in the enterprise space, in the cloud space, it was the biggest one. I can't tell you how many little startups that I saw on the outer perimeters of the expo floor that had a QR code to join their Discord. So I take a little bit of that to heart because we've been at it for a couple of years. Nobody else in the industry has really taken Discord on. And what it's enabled us to do and what it's enabled us to build for all of you is it's something that Drew and I are really proud of. And we're really excited that you guys that are in there already are here with us. If you haven't joined us yet, come get in there. NetAppDiscord.com. I promise you will love it. And you will enjoy the conversations that you have. And my word for 2023, Drew, I think was access. I think that's the word that I used most in 2023 was how do we give people access to us more directly without having to open a ticket? What if it's just a simple question? Where do they find the community of enthusiasts and experts outside of a subreddit that, is part of more community than ours? So the community's forums have been sort of the only place to get a kind of authoritative answer on things up until about 2 years ago.
We're changing things.
Yes.
And you've heard me say it before too. It's building a community for the next generation of NetApp customer.
Yeah. Great way to put it. That's all I had on my list for today, Drew. What else do you have on yours?
That really covered it. I'm glad to be able to share some of those teases for what's coming for the NetApp forums, the community forums. Obviously, to be able to talk about what we're doing in Discord and all the good work that has happened there. All the good people that are part of that. I love seeing all the conversations happen with, just looking through here, we've got the ones who got the special status for joining from the pub, from the Slack workspace. So we've got our pub veterans in there. You've got special flair because, you've been with us through a lot of change, and we certainly appreciate that.
Thank you.
The insight badges that people get, that's always nice to see. So to know that
badges
people came up and spoke to us and got their pins. Let me grab that. Hang on.
Oh yeah. So the pin program, like Discord turned into a kind of a shady black market for pin trading. Like there was
show us your flair. Yeah.
Right. It's like, I'll give you 3 of these pins for one of those. And like just deals were getting done. And Drew was, after the keynote one day, I remember there was a picture of you just holding court with about 20 people around you and kind of dealing out pins and all of that stuff. So yeah, those are going to be collectors, guys. Hang on to them. I'm not 100% sure. If we do it again, I think it's going to be completely new designs. So hang on to those because those might turn into something cool to have, not just a lanyard and a piece of plastic. Now you've got some really cool pins. Oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah, lots and lots of just all the pieces of flair. It's great.
Yeah, Troy just posted his over in Discord too. That's fantastic, man.
Oh,
yeah, hang on to those guys. Those are going to be cool, and I think we're going to do it again this year, and I think we're going to have a whole new set of designs. Drew and I really enjoyed the Discord one. I think there were several in there that were really nice. I liked the Geek Out one with the popcorn. I thought that was really good. But yeah, this is one of the, I guess at the end here, what I'll say is that I'm really proud of what we've built. I'm doing the last year of ONAIR has been tricky. I think I've got some big ideas for how to one up last year, this year. And we've got some big ideas for what we want to do with in Discord going forward. And there's going to be more YouTube content here on the channel. I'm hoping to do even more live streams and branch that out a little bit more. So there's big ideas of things going around. It's just getting help. It's finding ways to really facilitate a lot of that stuff is what it comes down to. But stay tuned, I guess is what I'll say. It's going to be a big year, guys. We're really excited about what's coming.
Absolutely.
Well, Drew, as always, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for coming along this crazy ride with me. Both with Discord, with ONAIR, and everything else that we do and chat about and talk about. Really appreciate it, man. Happy New Year. Excited to be back.
There we go.
Hey, you got the fireworks. Yes. Never gets old. Do I get a thumbs up? Can I get nope, I don't. Oh, why did it show up on yours? That's weird. Anyway, Happy New Year. We're excited to have all of you guys here with us. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Big year ahead for Discord, ONAIR, and our entire NetApp community, spearheaded by Mr. Drew Claybrook himself. And we got lots of things coming that we're excited to announce and share with you guys. Discord and is going to be one of those places where you're going to hear about some of that stuff first. So make sure you get in there, netappdiscord.com. I'll say it again. And until next time, yeah, we will see you guys next time we're on here. I almost said next year because I still think it's 2023.
We're not going to wait that long.
No, we're not going to wait that long. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Get into the Discord. Come hang out with us. That's where all the announcements for anything else are probably going to be anyway. So that's the place to be. And for everybody over on LinkedIn, on Twitch, YouTube, Discord, thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks for being a part of it. And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye,
Bye, guys.